the 45 and the 26. By the way, the sun is going to go into the 26 in about 10 days. So don't do your Christmas money, honey. Don't do your Christmas shopping until then. Okay. The 45 and the 26. By the way, the sun is going to go into the 26 in about 10 days. So don't do your Christmas shopping until then. Because when the sun goes into the 26, the earth goes into the 45. This is the most material of all gates. This is the gate of buying and selling. This is the gate of having and not having. And the earth, of course, is the most material of all of the principles that we have in the transit field. And for approximately 6 days, you're going to have that combination. Now, it's a great time to go out and do your shopping. Yeah. So.
Sorry, what about 5 and 35?
Oh, did I miss the... I always do that. I always end up putting the 45 before the 35. So, okay. The cart before the horse. All right, I'll go back and do the horse. I'll do the horse before the cart. I don't have any wheel, I just have a head, I do what I can, All right. The 35. Geez, satisfy people, The 35 is really something. If you look at the codons, when you look at all the codons, there's only one codon where you just have one thing. It's tryptophan, and there's only one hexagram that's tryptophan, and that's the 35th hexagram. This hexagram of progress, and you can't think about the 35 unless you think about the stream that it's a part of, because this is the bedrock of what it is to be human. It's called the human experiential way. It starts in the 41st gate, goes to the 30th gate, the 36th, and the 35. And this is literally our process. The 41st gate is the initiating codon. It starts everything. The 30th gate, the gate of the fates. The fates get in the way and screw you around, make you go another way. The 36th gate forces you to enter into new experiences so that we can expand our experiential domain. And then it finally reaches the 35th gate that says, bingo, progress, we've done that, let's move on. And the mantra of the 35 is, been there, done that. I mean, the most difficult thing for the 35th gate is the most important thing for the 16th gate. It's always so sweet. See, the 16th gate is about identification, and the 35th gate is about expectation. And boy, are those different things. There is this deep, deep, deep expectation in the 35th gate. And the 35th gate is not here to repeat anything. The 16th gate will tell you over and over and over again. Logic is like that. I can't teach without repetition. How many times I say, honor your strategy, follow your inner authority. I mean, I should have a recording, and I press a button every time I have to, over and over and over again. If you don't repeat it, it doesn't go in, Human beings are dense. You keep on repeating. Oh, did he say honor? Yes, he did. You do that. But on the other side, I mean, nothing worse for a 35 than to actually have to repeat a phrase a second time. They're already getting annoyed. And they're emotional, or can be, nothing worse than a 35, 36 that has to repeat themselves. Didn't you hear me, you idiot? Hey, okay, yeah, right. I don't want to know what you said. Thank you. They're not into repetition. They are into experience collection. Not only that, they do not discriminate. It's not like they're looking for necessarily good or bad experiences. They just want experience. And every time they have an experience, they write it off the list. I've had that one. Been there. I've done that. This is what the 35 does. It collects experience. And if anything goes wrong, they always say the same thing. Everything would have been terrific except for you. This is the great gate of blame the other. Right? You know? Sex would have been great except for you. It was your fault. You know? I would have had a better life except for you being in it. You know? I mean, yeah, this is the 35. And then the moment you put the 35 up against the wall, the first thing it says is, you know? It's because of you that this didn't work. You know, I didn't get the progress because of you. You know, my classic 35-36 story, they decide to make love in a canoe. You know, something new. You know, a new kind of experience. And of course, if anything goes wrong, break a leg, drown, you know, whatever the case may be, the 35 will always say, you know, it would have been great except for you. So this is the whole thing about the 35. And the 35 has expectation, which means that you can never, ever, ever satisfy it.
0% ציפיות.
I mean, nothing that the 35 hates more than the 16. Yeah? The 16 says, we've been practicing for 25 years and we've got it now, baby. You know, and the 35 is, you know? I've been doing it for 35 years and it doesn't work because of them, you know? I mean, they hate it. You know, it's very difficult to get caught on the human experiential way. I mean, you know, when you get caught on that way, it's like, where's the answer? You know, where is it? Do we ever get to a place where we've got it? Can we ever get the best? And they can't. They can't. That's why they hate the other side. It always seems that logic manages somehow, right? And the abstract says, well, it didn't work. It could have been better. You know, the 16 is identified and says, this is it. And the 35 says, it could be better. There could be something else, you know. And the other thing is the 1858 and the 4130, right? I mean, the 1858 is about being satisfied, even though it talks about dissatisfaction. Please understand, everything about the logic process is that logic can satisfy you. It's in its language. Logic can always satisfy you. Logic can always say 1 and 1 equals 2. Do you got that? Yeah, oh, I feel good. You know? There were no surprises. You know, nothing out of the blue, just straightforward. 1 and 1 is 2, everything's cool. But the moment that you get to the other side, it doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't work. The abstract is such a strange thing. And the 35, this expectation, they can never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. So guess what they see? Yes, things change, but it's not satisfying. You know? I mean, I've been listening to these people in Ibiza. I arrived there 22, 23 years ago. And from the day I arrived, I have met people who have said, yeah, it's changed for the worse. You know, I expected it to be this and that and the other thing. There's always this expectation and progress, which is never denied, because after all, that's their theme, is never satisfying. You know, it's never good enough. It's never exactly what it should be. And of course, this drives us. It drives us. Because this is another kind of critical function. You know, it's constantly sampling all of the experiences and giving you your feedback. And ultimately, you get to the 3313, where you have the collection of all of this information. And based on the past, you can really look and see where we've been and where we've come to. It's useful. You can see progress. There's only history because we have the abstract. No other reason. So on one side, you have this very unusual chemistry, stands alone. And this very unusual chemistry drives the whole human experiential process and never allows it to be satisfied. It's quite a trip. So you see a world in which everyone is driven and no one's happy. You know, you look out in the world and you see all of this expectation and you see all of this dissatisfaction, and you see something else, that the world is in the thrall of sex, because the 35 sees that. And it sees that the expectation about that and its relationship about the bonding between humans, how many problems are in there, and it's never really good enough. It isn't. It took a 35 to write the Kama Sutra. I mean, one or two positions, binary, We're a binary. You would think two different ways would be enough. Not for a 35, 36. There must be other ways. This one isn't satisfying. Maybe there's this one, and we'll spin on our heads on a... Anyway. But the thing that makes the 35 so fascinating in the polarity is what's on the other side. Because what is on the other side is the fifth gate. And the fifth gate is one of these universal, extraordinary gates. When you look at all the various forms, whether they're from the single cell to the various levels of life, plants and different creatures, mammals, we all have in common the 15-5 as a channel and as a channel potential. So the fifth gate coming out of the sacral center is a bedrock of the life force on the planet. It's one of those few gates that connects us to every living thing, literally every living thing. What a wonderful thing to be the core gate for life on the planet in the sacral center, and its name is waiting. And it's the fifth gate. And of course, it's all based on fives anyway, but nonetheless. It really is quite amazing what this gate is. At its mundane level, it's about habitual patterns. And it is the thing that gives the talent process, the practice process, all of those things, it gives them their source of power. Because the fifth gate is here to generate specific fixed patterns that on the surface we could call habits. In other words, to keep in that metaphor of the musician, to practice every day is not simply a matter of you're going to approach whatever it is you're doing every day. There is a ritual involved. There becomes a pattern involved. It becomes a certain time of the day. It takes place in a certain space. There are patterns and rituals that are connected to the whole process. And this is part of the way the five works. I mean, after all, it's the basis of the life pattern itself. It is the basis of this channel, which is the channel of being in the flow. This is the whole flow, literally the whole flow of life. So when you're operating out of the fifth gate, what you really see is, you see as I described to you, the 43-23 as the theme of the individual being able to see structure and efficiency. It is the five that generates the structures. It generates these fixed patterns. It generates these things. And when you're looking out through the eyes of the five, you see the patterns that are being, that are limiting or controlling the environment that you're in. In other words, you see the pattern world that you're living in. Not everyone can. I mean, that's something that you get to understand after a while. The longer you look at these polarities, the more clear it is that there are very, very distinct ways in which all of us look at the world, which is very, very different from other people. Very different. And you can see that it's only the level of conditioning that we have that homogenizes that into one single kind of generalized view. The way that we, if you pick up all of the, the newspapers here, the television here, the radio here, there is a general thematic that is there in terms of the way in which the events of the day are interpreted, and yet we can see that there's this whole spectrum that's there. The other thing about the 35-5 that's so unusual is this relationship between what is abstract, so deeply abstract, the 35, and what is so deeply logical, the 5. There is this very profound connection between them, because what it says is something very simple. It says that the failure to achieve the expectation that one was moving towards is part of the pattern. And when you hear it that way, you get to a land of choicelessness. And you cannot escape choicelessness as long as you're dealing with the 5th gate, because it reminds us over and over and over again that life itself is nothing but patterns. And that the human experiential way is just another pattern. And that failed expectation is just another pattern. We are not allowed to have the fulfillment of that expectation, because there would be no point then to being human. I mean, when you're on the racetrack, at the dog track, these silly things where they have these dogs running around and they're chasing an automatic robot rabbit. And you got these dogs racing around chasing the rabbit. I mean, if they catch the rabbit, it's all over. And they're not allowed to catch the rabbit. And because they're not allowed to catch the rabbit, people keep on coming back and betting on who could at least be the fastest, We're not allowed to catch the rabbit. That's not the way it works. I mean, if we had all come in 60,000 years ago and we were all allowed to catch the rabbit, we wouldn't be here now. Different movie entirely. We're not allowed to catch the rabbit. There's things to do. See, the form principle requires experiential evidence. It's like what happens in the relationship between the logic and the abstract. Logic says, we're going to construct a better mousetrap. So they come up with their theory. Here's the theory, and then they build it, they put it into form, here it is, and then they hand it over to the abstract people. And the abstract people lay the traps to see if it is a better mousetrap. It's the way it works. And the abstract people will always say the same thing. It works, but. Abba, It works, but. Well, this could be better, and this could be better. Look at the stuff that you wear and you eat. There isn't something that today, on this day, that you won't put on your body or into your body that doesn't say new or improved on it. This is the abstract world of progress. We're constantly upgrading. It's these constant upgrades. This is great, but this is greater. This is greater, but this is the greatest. This is the greatest, but this is the super greatest. This is the all-new, improved super greatest. Right? And there's logic building its mousetraps, and there's the abstract going, well, it sort of works, but, So on the human experiential way, we are never allowed to get to a point where we say, oh, this is all exactly what I expected. We're not allowed. Which messes up a lot of people who happen to have that. Or a lot of people who expect that the next great progress is going to mean something. It's like they finally get rid of smallpox. And we get AIDS. That's progress. Depends on your expectations, but it never stops. I mean, it doesn't. You shoot one terrorist and their cousin becomes the next one. It doesn't stop. This expectation that we can stop the world, that we can always say, hey, here it is, we got it, it's great, thank you very much. We never get it. And then you can see the way that operates in terms of humanity. You're looking out through those eyes. Boy, what you get to see is not pleasant. The 535 view of the world is that, we are stuck in an unsatisfying pattern. It seems everybody's stuck in an unsatisfying pattern. There's great truth in that. I mean, there there is. That's what they see. Okay, can I do the 45 now?
גמל.
Why should I pay for 5 when only 3 look like me?